drink, just prepare. I don't like how that sounded. Hey yo, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, how you doing? Don't mind the tea, just preparing for some possible salts because today I'm discussing outlining. I don't think every writer needs to outline, but I do think more writers need to outline than are willing to admit it. Personally, I find outlining really fun and fulfilling. I used to write on the fly, with a general idea of where my story was going. Sometimes it would even surprise me. And then I had kids. Between sleep deprivation, having to take long hiatuses between writing, general mom stress, by the time I finally sat down to work, I stared at a blank screen because what the fuck even was my plot? Where was my story going? Where was this sentence going? New lifestyle needed new tools and skills. And after searching my heart of hearts and watching one outline video in particular, love you lady, I decided, what the fuck, let's give it a try. And yo, it makes things way easier. Now, I Frankensteined my outline style from what I did in high school and some trial and error with a few tips and tricks from people that I watched. I'm dyslexic and I do math backwards, so it only made sense to me that I needed to make an outline style that flowed with the way that I think and the way that I develop the story in my head. Today, I'm going to show you how to make my outline hunk. It's just a metaphor. Let's roll with it. I begin with a skeleton. Our hunk needs bones to support them. Sometimes I start with a thought dump, but normally I don't need to because I already have my timeline from beginning, middle to end in my head, which is what I used to keep there as a pantser. So I have my notebook right here, and I will read some to you and list them right here. Intro wolf girl. Intro maybe creep. Get off work. Run into small guy. Saves his ass. Nurse him. Stuff happens. This is an example. We're moving on. Now that I have my skeleton foundation written down, I can pull out the laptop, type everything up, organize my plot points and my sections, and look through and see which character arcs might not be fully addressed, what plot points might need more clearing, what plot points might just need to be thrown out. First go through, I look for major plot points that don't entirely connect, like run into small guy and saves his ass. What happens in between these things? She follows him to a fight, she sees him losing a fight. I would add those two. Then I go character by character and see what they need to complete their character arc growth. Wolf Girl needs to understand that she's breaking boundaries and accept that she can't save everyone. Then I go through and I look for where I could put a little scene or a detail or a moment that would work toward that character goal and put a small note there. Let's pretend we have the whole skeleton here and that we are ready to move on. This is where I go to flesh out the plan, so to speak. Mostly vague summaries like here. They argue his points. Not her job to kill them. Literally can't kill them. They can kill her. He takes his coat off. He gives it to her. He's mad. She's defensive. He guilts her. She does think about her dad's feelings. Why explain that to a human? Now that we've done that, it's time to beef up this hunk. The size of these muscles may vary by outline and writer preference. This is where I add in as much detail as I want to make the writing easier later. I used to get stuck in my tracks just trying to decide on a character's hair color. But now I put them in my outlines. And I might not need all of these details later, but they're there if I do. Feel free to pause this new section if you need to. They argue. He says that it's not her job to kill those things, that she can't kill those things, and that they can kill her. He backs up and takes his denim coat off, handing it to her. She takes it, puts it on, but it's not comfy, it's a little tight. He's small compared to her. It shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't have been out there. You broke our deal. No, I didn't. I admit that I messed up. You said you would watch unless I failed. You didn't agree to that. You can't just add things. She's pulling her pants on, takes his jacket off to put her shirt on. And you can't kill them. So what if it makes it easier for me? It doesn't matter if you get killed. His voice cracks a bit. Guilt punch to the stomach. And think about how your dad would feel. She does think of how her dad would feel. He'd be disappointed in her mistake, but not the fact that she fought. For me, I might not actually use all of that in the final version. I might even change around the dialogue, but it's there. It gives me a solid idea of how I want the scene to go. For my fight scenes in my outlines, I put the play-by-play, punch-by-punch, kick-by-kick. I don't write my fight scenes that way because that would be very boring, but it helps me keep track of who's hitting who, so I can decide which reactions I want to write into the narrative. But my outline is a really good reference point and resource for me to go back and look at what my intentions were for every scene. For my current whip, during my skeleton phase, I wrote a plot point that said, reminiscing about childhood. Now, when I went back and did the beefing stage, I went to write out the conversation and I just couldn't get a good conversation to flow, which is weird because I normally write dialogue very easily. Then I said, fuck it, and I just decided to start writing a conversation and see where it would go. And I got a little flirty scene that makes my MC very jealous, which was the point of the reminiscing about childhood conversation. Being able to make that change during the outline phase was pretty stress-free and made it easy to look ahead and make sure that it did not alter the rest of my story. And even if it did change some facets of my story later, like now one of those characters is gonna be a little flirtier than I originally intended, but that's fine because it's the outline phase and that's the point of it, is to make all of these discoveries and iron things out here. This is my general outlining process. Some stories need more details, some stories need less details. Some stories I can nail those character arcs in 1 or 2 pass-throughs. Sometimes I need 5 or 6 to make sure that I've got everything. Why go through so much work in my outlining phase? Because never again do I want to be in an amazing writing flow, going from scene to scene, and then stop dead in my tracks because I cannot fucking remember that one thing that I wanted to do. Now, I just look at my outline and I wrote it there. Flow saved. My outlines also show me things that might not be working for my plot and things that I kind of needed to know. Like, while outlining the Silver Heir, I realized that there's just too much of it for one book. So now I'm planning out a series. And while planning out this series, I had planned to kill a character, but while looking at the character arcs, I decided to spare their life. And I actually have a much more interesting arc for a different character because of it. Going back to writing after life and or illness has kept me away is also so much less overwhelming now that I have convenient summaries to refresh me of where I was going. Do you outline? Why or why not? Please leave your answers in the comments down below. Remember folks, if you're interested about whether or not I can write, I have a sample on my website here. I also exist on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr at Samantha Nasset. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and ring-a-ding that bell. I'll see you next week. Sam. Because everybody functions differently. Literally, I do math backwards, and I'm dyslexic. So just made sense to kind of do my own thing. But having a foundation to... I'm doing so well. Now, I Frankensteined my outline. Blah, blah, blah. how I write the foot scene. Foot scene. I also do play-by-play for my sex scenes. Do I want another brunette? Should they be blonde? Maybe I should give them red hair. Hey baby, what's up? You want to come say hi? You want milk in your cup? Hey, come here. You want to say hi to the people? Hi. Say hi. Can you tell them your name? Okay. Your name's Dave? Yeah. Are you supposed to be asleep? And then are you tired? You got thirsty? Okay. Alright, let's get you some milk and get you down today.